We'll just wait for, maybe a couple of more minutes and then we can start. Hoping to have more girls join in. So if, since I know some of you have attended the earlier sessions, how we can make this session useful is that if you ask me a lot of questions, so ask me a lot of questions. I'm sure you've been thinking about your ideas since we've discussed all of this. So, make use of this session to the best, like take advantage of the fact that, you get so much of knowledge and information and that you can ask and clarify your doubts. So I'm hoping you use this session at least for that, since you are mostly familiar with the content. Yeah, Priya, Darshini and Grace?
Yes, ma'am.
So let's try and keep it interactive, because if you already know the content plus it's not interactive, then what's the point, right? Yeah. Madhumita, are you able to hear us? In case for whatever reasons you're unable to unmute, just drop a message in the chat box. That's also fine. We have a few more girls joining in. Ravina, were you there for the previous session? Ravina?
Ravina, can you hear us? I think there's something wrong with the audio.
Probably. Okay. No problem. You can just drop in your responses in the chat box. Since most of you are already new to the session, let's look at it from a fresh perspective again. Maybe you will come across certain things that you didn't pay attention to earlier, and you can, maybe pay attention to that and make use of that. Okay. Should we begin, Nikita, or should we wait for some more time?
Another 2 minutes, and then we should
Okay.
start.
All right.
I think, Lisha, we should start now.
Yes. All right. Yeah. Okay. So, girls, good evening. I'm really excited to have you guys here. Some of you are new. I think 2 of you are new. We're just 4 of us in this session, but let's see. Let's try to make the most of it. Okay. Kanika is going to share her screen with us. Until while she's sharing her screen with us, what new would you like to learn today? For those who are already part of the session, what is something that you would like out of the session today? Yes, Grace and Priyadarshini, since you've been here consistently, and Grace has been in the last session. Anything else that you'd like me to touch upon today? So I will stress on that more. And if nobody speaks, then this is going to be an extremely boring session. Since there are only few of us, we can try and keep it as interactive as possible. Yeah, Grace, anything new that you're hoping to get out of this?
Ma'am, I want to speak.
Yes.
I just want to know, actually, I don't know whether this session will be able to cover it, but I have just started off with some kind of work, and I'm registering as an MSME and all that. So, but the as far as the business is concerned, uh, I do not know actually how to go about it and how to I mean how to launch the products and all that. So from where do I get this basic information that I have?
So one, what is going to happen is in this session, mainly we are trying to get you to come up with an idea, or if you already have an idea, how to improvise on that idea. And then
Okay.
finally, after you present it,
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be people to take you through the process of how you can go about it. And if your idea is even one of them that's selected, you will definitely get a lot of feedback and input in terms of practically how do you go about this, But one way that these sessions will help you is to tweak your idea, to make your idea more user centric, or your product more user centric, and to focus on that. So
Okay.
I'm sure these sessions are going to be beneficial to you because you already have your idea. So you can always transform it in some way or another to ensure that, oh, this is in alignment with what the society needs and that it's somehow solving some problem.
Okay.
Okay. So maybe you can look at this session with a new perspective of what can I absorb and what can I incorporate in my idea, since you already have a full-fledged plan. That sounds
Okay.
good?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. What about the others? The others? Priyadarshini, anything else that you'd want me to stress upon in the session? Madhumita, you would like to share something? You can type it out in the chat box also if your audio is a problem.
I just wanted to share something.
Yes.
Actually, the concept of functional fixedness, which you had explained
Correct.
last. So
Correct.
actually implemented on it and
Mm-hmm.
modifying my products accordingly. Like,
Okay, awesome. Awesome. So I love
yeah.
that it's helping you in some way or another and you're incorporating these things. So that's great. Okay.
Yes.
Today I'm hoping again, when we go, see, for some of you, it's going to be like a revision. So let's see what else you can take from it. Okay. For those who are new, which I think Ravina and Mathumita are new, let's make this exciting for them because they have no clue what the content is like. Okay. So you feel free to still respond, Grace and Priyadarshini. Please feel free to still give in your inputs. But I encourage Mathumita and Ravina to respond more. Yes, can we do that? Can we do that, Mathumita, Ravina?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to have this session divided into two parts. Okay, I'm going to quickly show you on the screen what we're going to cover. In today's first session, we're mainly going to talk about our entrepreneurial journey of building an entrepreneurial idea. Okay, how do we come up with an idea? Ravina, what is your understanding of entrepreneurship, or who is an entrepreneur? In your own words. We're just few of us, so we can just have like an informal conversation and a dialogue. In your own words, who according to you is an entrepreneur?
Entrepreneur is someone who sets up a business or yes, ma'am, sets up a business.
Okay, maybe he has his own venture, his own idea, his own business that he runs. He doesn't operate under a boss, but he himself is the boss. Okay, but there's so much more to entrepreneurship, which we are going to explore in this session. Okay, and we're going to come up with an entrepreneurial idea. I'm going to help you with that. So, on this journey of idea building, there are certain things that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about why should I come up with an idea? How should I come up with an idea? What should I, what should I do basically? How will I do it? And what will I do finally? So today we are going to look at why should I come up with an idea? How should I come up with it? And what should I do? Okay. Normally on this journey, when you become entrepreneurs, you have your own venture, you have your own idea, you have your own product or service. What are some of the things that go through in your mind, Ravina? Priyadarshini also, Grace, feel free to share. What are some of the things that you go through? Do you think it's something that's very comfortable? It's something that's easy? It's something that, of course you're excited to do, but is it something that is easy?
No, it's not very easy actually. It takes a lot of thinking and a lot of inputs go into it.
Awesome,
Basically,
absolutely. Correct.
basically it involves a lot of risk taking. So we have to be very careful at each step of the process.
Correct. And what are some of the thoughts that cross your mind?
Will I be able to do it, or will I be able to? Uh, how will I go ahead with? Yeah.
Absolutely. Will I even be able to do it? Or even if I am, how will I do it? Sometimes, why should I do it? Is this even relevant? Is this important? Will I be bringing about some change? What is the point of me doing this? These are some of the things that we constantly go through. So let's look at the next slide. And let's look at these three reactions that we often have on this entrepreneurial journey. One is reluctance. Why should I even come up with an idea? There are so many things that people are already doing. How is it going to be different? Me adding to it in any way? Maybe I shouldn't come up with an idea. What's the point? Sometimes it's self doubt, like what you were saying. Am I really capable of coming up with an idea? Can I really do this? Am I really able to do this? And sometimes it's the fear of failure. Will I succeed? I have all of these ideas, but will I even succeed? Will I even make profits? Will I even, add something to society? So these are our constant three reactions that we have: reluctance, self-doubt, and the fear of failure. And these are the three things that often serve as blocks in our entrepreneurial journey or in actually achieving our goal. So the first thing before we even get to how to building an idea is we are going to we're just going to we're going to deal with each of these reactions. Okay, so the first one we're going to deal with is reluctance, and I'm going to start off by telling you a little story. Can you see this picture on the screen? And what do you see? What can you see? In your own words, what is this picture all about? Yes, in your own words. Come on. I know Grace knows, but still, can you all think about it? I'm not sure, Grace, that you attended this particular part of the session. Did you? No, ma'am. Okay, so then that's great, because then we have all four of you who are probably new to it. What do you see in this picture? Come on, girls, it's not so tough. What do you see in this picture? Just say whatever you think you can see. What is that? A piece of wood? Yes? Ravina? Priyadarshini? I'm sensing this session is going to be extremely boring if y'all don't speak, because I know all of the content already. And the amazing thing is you don't even have to fear embarrassment because we're such a small group. All right, and there's nothing you all can see, then I will tell you a little story. Okay, in this picture, actually, what that little structure is, it's a bridge. Okay, do you find anything odd about this picture now that I've told you that the structure and the picture is a bridge? Is there anything weird or odd about this?
There is actually no need to have a bridge there.
Okay, and why is that?
Because it is not connecting anything as such.
Absolutely. But do you think people, would actually build a bridge, not over a river? That's not normal, right? So actually what happened here is, it's not like they started off like this, but this is a region in Central America that would face a lot of storms and it would face a lot of hurricanes. And so some of the most brilliant engineers came together to design a bridge in this region, which is resilient to storms and hurricanes. Okay, the river that you see flowing on the side of the river, on the side of the bridge, was actually at one point flowing under it. But it just so happened that after this bridge was designed and ready to be functional and used, in that same year there was a hurricane. It was such a bad hurricane, caused a lot of destruction, and it changed the course of the river that was once flowing under it. As a result, this little bridge, which is actually called the Choluteka Bridge, is now called the bridge to nowhere because it serves no purpose. Okay. Sometimes in our entrepreneurial journey, we can be like this bridge. We can have a brilliant idea. It can be, built with a lot of resilience and perseverance. But we come to a point where our idea does not adapt with changing times. And so it ceases to be relevant in the society that we live in. Right? Do you all identify with that? Sometimes when we start off with something and it's taken us 10 years to build, but we have not kept in mind the changing trends in society. And so as a result, what has happened is our idea becomes irrelevant and it almost does not survive because people around us no longer find this relevant or they no longer have use for that idea. Does that make sense? Yes? No? Does
Yes.
that make sense, girls? And so, as we're dealing with the whole issue of reluctance, why should I even come up with an idea? It's important to come up with an idea because there is so much of change. Can we have the next slide? There is so much of change happening all around us. And we, in order to remain significant, relevant, and to contribute to society, we have to, in some way or another, embrace change. So why should I come up with an idea? Because we can be contributors and change bringers in our society and in our environment. If we look around us in every sector, in every institution, we're so used to following patterns, right? We're so used to doing what our seniors did, for example, in school, or we're so used to doing what senior employees did at the workplace, or what our parents did or our grandparents did. We're so used to following these patterns without even sometimes questioning them and without sometimes even adding value or understanding the purpose behind these things. And we're just doing what other people are doing. Is that going to be helpful in the long run? Absolutely not. Because if we keep doing what we've always been doing, we're only going to get what we always got. And that is not in any way going to lead us to any meaningful solution, right? We'll see that on the next slide as well. And it's actually important for us to step out of our comfort zone, because there is something within us, there's a perspective within us that can actually bring about a change around us. The problem is that we've gotten so comfortable with where we are, but we've got to push our limits and push ourselves outside this comfort zone to where the magic actually happens. Do you all agree with me? Yes?
Yes, right.
Silence means you all agree with me. That's awesome. Okay. So the first thing is completely debound, right? Why should we come up with an idea? We definitely need to come up with an idea because the power of change is within us, and the need for change is important in order to remain relevant. Okay. So let's face the next problem, which was self-doubt. Am I really capable of coming up with an idea? Before I show you the next slide, I want to ask you, how many of you associate coming up with an idea with creativity? Or, no, this is odd. How many of you feel that, no, coming up with this idea and all is for some people, it's not for everybody? How many of you feel this way? You can be honest. At one point, I felt like this. I felt like, no, there are certain groups of people who would prefer to be entrepreneurs, and this is for them. It's not for me. How many of you felt like this, that this is for some people, not for everyone? Silence means all of you have been absolutely confident, and then that's great. Okay. How many of you have never questioned the fact that this is only for few people, not for everybody?
Me.
Okay, thank you for being honest. You will see that this whole aspect of entrepreneurship goes way beyond having your own enterprise and your own job. Okay, it's way beyond that. It's actually a perspective, it's actually a mindset. And to come up with an idea, you need nothing but creativity. And creativity is something that all of us have. We'll see that on the next screen, on the next slide. That all of us are actually born with two parts of our brain. Agreed? Anyone here with just half their brain functioning? I'm sure not, right? Yes, no?
Yes.
It's pretty obvious that everyone here has two sides of their brain. And now the only issue is that the left part of our brain is what we have used a lot, or which is challenged during academics and at the workplace, because it's analytical, it's logical, it's practical, it involves language and mathematics and science, and all of this is what is properly focused on in school. But the right side of our brain, which is the creative part of our brain, is mostly dormant or sleeping because it's not challenged as much, or activities related to creativity are not encouraged as much. Only few people maybe who have an interest in art or music may even pursue that part of their brain, but a lot of people who are logical will stay far away from that aspect. Now, creativity has nothing to do with art and craft. That is something we need to understand. Creativity is nothing but your ability to think differently, your ability to look at things with a new perspective, a different perspective, a unique perspective, which all of us have. And in order that we can activate this part of our brain, we just need to learn to ask questions, be curious, and get this creative part of our brain working, activate the creative part of our brain. So next slide. When we're thinking about, am I really capable? Definitely you're capable, because you have a creative aspect and a part of your brain as well that just needs to be activated. Another issue we face when we're asking ourselves, am I really capable, is because we are relying heavily only on our ability, right? When I'm saying, am I really capable of doing this? No, maybe this is not my cup of tea. We're relying completely on ourselves. The pressure is entirely on us, right? Am I right? Don't you feel like you're doing all of this alone?
Yes.
Right? Okay. And often, because we feel like, oh, we're carrying the weight of this whole idea on our own, we feel like, am I really going to do this? Because I'm doing this by myself. And we get so caught up with bettering our idea, improving our idea, ensuring our idea is brilliant, that we forget that the idea is actually not the starting point. Have you ever heard this before? People will tell you, no, come up with a brilliant idea. But your idea is never your starting point. Your starting point is actually a problem. Let me give you an example. I'm spending a lot of time on this because, it'll help build perspective. Okay. You may have a beautiful idea. Let's say I have a brilliant idea of, I've used this in my previous session. I'm going to use the same idea again, that I designed goggles. Okay. These goggles that glow in the dark. But when you wear them, you can't see. How many of you will buy this idea? It's neon colored goggles and they glow in the dark, and I think it is amazing. How many of you are going to buy my product?
Nobody.
Why not?
Not able to see the basic.
But it's glowing in the dark.
It will just add to my look, but its function is not getting satisfied.
Absolutely. And so, because it's not functional, for example, let's assume you are my client, it's not functional to you. It's not solving your problem in any way. It's not giving you any benefit. So you will definitely not buy my product, correct? So my idea in my eyes is brilliant, but is it solving a problem, the client's problem? No, it's not, right? So often when we get stuck in this loop of am I capable, it's because we're so consumed with our idea and we're not really focusing on the problem. Okay. The process of idea building does not start with an idea. It actually starts by identifying an important problem that exists in our society. It may be anything, but it has to be a real problem that your product or your service is solving. Okay. How can we know what this problem is? By looking around us and by empathizing with the client or the user, by saying, okay, this is something that they face. This is a task. This is tough for them. How can I design something that can ease off their pain and give them benefits? So when you empathize with the user, you will get insights, and that is finally going to lead you to your solution. Next slide. Does that make sense? Does that ease off some of your pressure?
Yes.
Because this is the process of idea generation. You don't start with an idea, you start with identifying the real problem. What is the problem that I want to solve? You empathize. That empathy will give you certain insights or new ideas and lead you to your solution. Next. These are some 6 Avengers which are very basic, but if you apply them, they're going to help you a lot in identifying a problem. You have observation, okay, you have listening, you have empathy, you have curiosity, you have imagining, and you have creating. All of these things are very, very important for you to inculcate in order that you can identify a problem. Observe, pay attention to what are people's interests, what are their likes. Even when you look at the trends around you, or you look at things that people strive for, or they think is important, you will understand this simply by sitting back and observing people. How are they using this product? What are their preferences? You can pay attention to what they're saying about products similar to what you want to build. What is the feedback that they're giving you? What are their complaints? What would they like improved? You can listen to these things. Be curious, ask a lot of questions. Why this material? Why not that material? Can we improve on this? Can we improvise in this manner? Can we in make changes to maybe the packaging, or make changes to the service being offered? Empathize with the people. Fully try to put yourself in their shoes to understand what are they going through while they're using this product, and how can we improve this better. In the session further, I will also give you examples of products where you can apply this. Okay. After empathizing, imagine, and then you can finally create. So am I really capable of coming up with an idea? What do you think? Are you really capable of coming up with an idea? Absolutely yes, right? Because the ability to be creative is inside of you, and you're And idea is not the starting point. Identifying the problem is the starting point. So you're not just trying to be brilliant on your own, you're trying to solve someone's problem. So you need to embrace the power of creation, which is already inside of you. Let's look at the third and the most important reaction, which is the fear of failure. Before we move to the next slide, I want to ask you, why do people fear failure? What is so bad about failure? Why do we fear failure?
Maybe financial loss.
Okay, we fear loss. Okay, we feel like this is a risk. Um, you know, so if there is loss, what will happen?
In
Okay,
case of
maybe your resources are wasted.
yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, anything else? Why anybody else? Why would you fear failure?
You lose your confidence also at times. You don't feel like doing anything again.
Absolutely, you lose your confidence, right? It will demotivate you on this journey. You'll never want to embark on this journey again. Anything else? Why do you think people fear failure? There's one main reason we all fear failure, the root cause of the fear of failure.
Society.
Okay, society. Also, it's very embarrassing to fail. For some reason, we live in a society where failure is looked down upon, right? And often when people, let's understand this. When you fail in class, okay, what happens normally to the person who fails in class? Are they accepted within the group? Do you readily accept, people who fail, who don't do well, or they're not good enough? Are they really widely accepted? Yes.
No, usually they are put down.
Exactly. So the root cause of the fear of failure is actually the risk of rejection. People don't want to fail because they don't want to be rejected, right? We are all social beings. Next slide. We're all social beings, and so we don't ever want to be in a position where we are alienated or isolated. And so the fear of failing sometimes puts us in a position where we feel like we're not going to be perceived in the right way, and if we are perceived negatively, people will not want to be around us, we will be rejected. And that's the biggest risk a creator faces, the risk of rejection. Either their product being rejected or they themselves experiencing alienation. But this problem also can be solved because remember, you are not alone in this journey. You're not doing it by yourself because you're not doing it for yourself, right? You're solving another person's problem. And the person whose problem you're solving is your client or your user. The traditional method of problem solving is that as a creator, you create your product. Like I'll create my goggles and I'll go and I'll give it to the user. The user will say, like in the case of, yeah, like my goggles, right? And you told me, no, I don't want this. So I'll take it back, I'll make some changes, I'll add more color, I'll add shimmer, and I'll give it back. And again, you'll say, no, I don't want this again as well. Why is this loop happening? Is because as a creator, I'm not understanding the problem of my user. I am not creating it along with my user. And so what is very important is co-creation. So if I go up to you and you tell me, no, these goggles are nonsense, I don't like them, I will listen to you and I'll ask you, okay, why do you feel that way? If what changes would you like made to this product? And then they'll say, see, the problem is I can't even see. What's the point of it glowing in the dark? It only looks good, but it serves no purpose, it has no function. So then maybe you'll say, maybe if I can see through these goggles and they are anti-glare and they're able to, they have certain sensors by which I can navigate my way better in the dark, maybe I will buy your product. Correct? Does that make sense?
Yes.
And so now what you're doing is you're not only solving a problem, but you're co-creating, and you're not alone in this journey. So you're not doing it alone, but you're taking your user and their needs into account, and you're trying to understand their problem, and you are doing something called co-creation. When you co-create, there is no fear of failure, because even if you make a mistake, You are going back to your user for feedback and incorporating that feedback. Okay, so co-creation is what we've got to heavily focus on as entrepreneurs. Next. And here again, we can completely overcome the fear of failure, because the ability to bring about changes, to actually co-create, is within us as well. Yeah. We can embrace the power of co-creation. Next. Finally, coming to understand what is entrepreneurship. One thing that you've mentioned is taking a risk and resilience, right? So there is a definition of entrepreneurship. Even as we move on to understand how do we come up with an idea, let's understand what is entrepreneurship, because sometimes what limits us is the thought of I don't have enough resources and so I cannot be an entrepreneur because I'm not wealthy, I'm not rich. But that's not true. Entrepreneurship is nothing but pursuing opportunities or problems beyond resources control. So even if you don't currently have the financial aid for your idea or for your problem, that's all right, because you can always have people fund that idea. You'll always have people who can guide you to getting funds for that idea. Okay, so it is pursuing opportunities beyond resources control, and this was a definition by Professor Howard Stevenson. Okay, so we need to break this mindset of we need to be wealthy only in order to have a brilliant idea. That's not true. We just need to think out of the box, be creative, and the funds and resources will come. Next. Entrepreneurship isn't a job, it's a mindset. So let's look at this and understand this differently, because all of you can do it. It just starts with a belief that you can. Okay, now let's move on to the next part of our session, which is how should I come up with an idea? We have completely covered why should I come up with an idea, because we are responsible for bringing about new changes and development in society. We are capable of it because we are, the power of creation is inside of us, and we are able to even co-create. So we need not fear failure. Now let's look at how should I come up with an idea. Okay, great, I want to do it, but how should I build an idea that drives change? How do you think we can do this? This session, this segment is very creative and it's going to be fun. Okay, how do you think we can build an idea that drives change? In your own words, whatever you think. Anyway, I'm going to cover the session with you. Sorry? So, in order to build an idea that drives change, we are going to need certain tools, okay? Mental tools. And so, I'm going to take you through two important breakthrough approaches that are going to help you build an idea. Before we get there, it's very important to understand that, see, in your entrepreneurial journey, it's not about discovering new things which others have not seen. You don't have to invent something that does not exist, because we live in a world where most everything that we need already exists, right? Everything you need is already there. People have been inventing for thousands and thousands of years. But entrepreneurship is about an ability to think differently about something that everyone sees all the time. It can be a product that people have been using for 100 years or 50 years, but it may not be absolutely beneficial to them in this day and age, like the bridge to nowhere. And so, how can we innovate and make changes to this product is what we are actually focusing on. Okay, so let's start with the first breakthrough approach. Next slide. Yeah, is we're going to come to the breakthrough approach by solving a mystery. All of us love mysteries. Yes, girls, do you love mysteries? Do you love crime patrol? Do you love thrillers? Yes,
Yes.
Ramya, Ravina, Grace, Mathumita.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we all love thrillers. We love everything that keeps us on edge. We love solving, even if we are watching, for example, a murder mystery, we love sitting and understanding and identifying who the killer is, right? We love doing all of that. And so we are going to solve a mystery. I am going to start off by telling you or giving you some information, and you're going to help me solve the mystery by asking me questions. Okay? Everybody ready?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay. So it was a breezy Sunday afternoon. Leila and Majnu were found dead on the 22nd floor of a high-rise building. Only three things are known to us. The window was open, there were pieces of glass on the floor, and there was water fallen on the floor. You have to solve this mystery and tell me, how did Leila and Majnu die? For this, you've got to ask me questions, and you've got to ask me questions where my response to you will only be yes or no. For example, is this meeting an online meeting? Yes. Okay, you're not going to ask me open-ended questions where I have to explain and talk a lot. Got it? Ready? Yes? We can't solve a mystery in silence, just saying. So we will need you to interact.
Ma'am, I already know about it, so I don't feel any.
So those who know about it will, we'll encourage the others to speak. Okay. I think Priya Darshini already knows. So I encourage Grace, Ramya, Ravina to ask me questions. It's going to be fun. You can drop your questions in the chat box as well. Come on. See, Kanika, Nikita cannot ask me any questions because we have solved this mystery already. But those of you who haven't, you should take advantage of this and, think. Grace wants to try. You don't like mysteries or what? Or are you all too scared? Ask me questions. Ask me random questions. Even if they seem random to you, ask me. How many of you are sleeping on this call? How many of you are awake? Oh, all are sleeping. Awake. Only Kanika, Nikita, and me are awake. I don't know about the rest. Priya Darshini is also awake. I can hear her doing something in the background. But I'm not so sure about Grace, Madhumita, Ramya, Ravina. Okay, so if you put your hands up, come on, you all can also ask me questions. Okay, so for Madhumita's sake, I will repeat the question. Okay, we're trying to solve a mystery. Okay, I will give you a little bit of information and you have to solve the mystery. So this is the information we have. It was a breezy Sunday afternoon. Leila and Majnu were found dead on the 22nd floor of a high-rise building. Only three things are known to us: that the window was open, there were pieces of glass on the floor, and there was water falling on the floor. Now you have to solve the mystery and tell me, how did Leila and Majnu die? Okay? Okay, Matumita? Come on, now I'm expecting questions from you. How do you think they died?
Ma'am, can you just repeat the last clue?
The last clue is that there were pieces
Yes,
of glass on the floor, water was fallen on the floor, and the window was open. All these Sherlock Holmes are thinking.
Ma'am, I just have a question.
Yes.
Whether the windows glasses or the glass, what to say, the tumbler's glass?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Was it a windows glass?
No.
Is it a tumbler's glass? Was it a glass tumbler?
Like a tumbler, like what we use for bath?
No, drinking glass. Is it a glass tumbler?
No. Good. I'm happy that you're asking me questions. I like this. Yes, the rest of you.
Was there any blood on the ground?
No. I love that you're asking me questions, Ramya. What about Ravina, Madhumita, Grace? Yes? Come on, quickly. I'll give you 3 more minutes to solve this mystery. 3 more minutes, and then we will have Priya Darshini, who will solve the mystery for us because she knows how to solve it. Come on, but I'm hoping you guys solve it before her. Think. I'll take 2 more questions and then we'll move ahead. Grace, I'm going to take 1 question from Grace, 1 question from Madhumita, and 1 from Ravina.
Was the room locked?
Was the room locked? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Come on, Madhumita.
Mom, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Mom, yeah, that is what I was engaged in another meeting and I was confused. And can you please tell me the first clue again?
First clue is that the window is open. Then there are pieces of glass on the floor and water fallen on the floor.
Okay.
These are the 3 evidences that we have. Sorry, I'm not able to hear you very clearly. You can post it in the chat box. Ravina, what about you? Okay, I'm just waiting for Madhumita's question.
Ma'am,
Yes.
was there water before they died?
Sorry?
Was there water before they died? On the floor?
Was there water before they died? No.
Can you,
No. Yeah, Madhumita, I can hear you, but it's breaking.
Mom, is that water?
You'll have to repeat that. Okay, so we'll move on. We'll move ahead. I know some of you are having network issues. Okay, is that water, ma'am? Yes, it's water on the floor. Now, since we all were unable to solve the mystery, I just want to ask you, I'm just going to ask Priya Darshini to solve the mystery for us. Priya Darshini, you remember the solution, right? Yes.
Yes.
So can you tell all of us, how did Laila and Majnu die?
Actually, Laila and Majnu were not humans, they were fishes. And because of the strong winds blowing from the window, the bowl in which they were kept fell down, and they died.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Priya Darshini. So Laila and Majnu were not actually fish. Okay. How many of you assumed that they were human beings? Yeah, can we have like a quick yes, quick no? How many of you assumed they were human beings? Right? Yes, most of us, right? On call, we assumed that they were human beings because they have human-like names. But they were just names of somebody's pet fishes. And it just so happened that it was a stormy afternoon, the winds were blowing, and so the window was flung open, and the fish bowl that the two fishes were in, which is Lela and Majnu, it toppled, it fell down. That's why there were pieces of glass, an open window, and water on the floor. Often we go with whatever we have already known. We rely on our perceptions and our experiences, but we need to learn to challenge what is obvious. Okay. Remember, I said I will tell you two breakthrough approaches. The first breakthrough approach in your entrepreneurial journey of coming up with an idea and solving a problem is your ability to learn to challenge the obvious. Okay, don't just take things at face value. That's the next slide. Don't just take things at face value, but learn how to challenge the obvious, because we're fed in with so much of information. We have a tendency to just rely on that information only. So the first breakthrough approach is to challenge the obvious. Let's look at the second breakthrough approach. Yeah, these are just okay, before we get it, these are just few images, okay, on your screen of how of problems we have faced constantly, and maybe some of us will have to learn how to challenge the obvious to come up with solutions for these problems. The problem with the switchboard is that sometimes if you're going to visit someone for the first time, we never know which is the light switch or the fan switch. We're constantly trying to understand and guess that through trial and error. But can we simplify this problem? Can we come up with a solution by challenging the obvious? Okay, by challenging, traditional solutions, and think out of the box to come up with a solution for this. You'll see in the next image as well. Next, yeah. Okay, the mixer is a problem. Sometimes we just get used to it, and we know that, oh, our mother's cooking, and we'll continue even if it's disturbing us. But can we learn to challenge the obvious and come up with a solution for this? Can we draw inspiration from other products, which I will show you in the next approach, to come up with solutions for this? Or baby shoe size, kids' feet keep growing, and normally you have to keep investing in shoes. And the obvious thing that we do is, oh, it's not fitting them, buy a new pair of shoes. But can we innovate the shoe that exists and create some sort of extension, some sort of elasticity, to kind of improve and come up with a solution by challenging the obvious? Or all of us eat ice cream, all of us know the issue of ice cream melting. Can we solve a problem like this? Can we create something, build something, come up with a solution, and not just get get comfortable with the fact that, oh, ice cream is going to melt, only the cone is going to get soggy, so let's deal with it. Maybe we can look for other edible solutions that don't get soggy as quickly, for example, and come up with a better solution. Next is our most important breakthrough approach. Okay, the second important breakthrough approach, which is finding the common in two uncommon things and connecting the dots. On the screen, you can see a shoe and you can see a pencil. How can you come up with a solution for for a pencil, or the issue of when you write with a pencil for a long time, it hurts your finger, right? In school, we've experienced that. When we write for a long time, our fingers start paining, correct? Or they get sweaty, and during exams, the pencil either slips or it hurts us. How many of you have experienced that? Yes, no? Girls, didn't you all give exams? Okay, Ramya experienced it. So how can Grace also did? How can we come up with a solution by drawing inspiration from a shoe, which is not connected in any way to a pencil? What can we do? Yes? What is something that we can do? What can we do? How can we draw inspiration from a shoe? The shoe has some sort of cushioning, right? It has a sole. And so our solution can be a kind of cushioning we create in our pencil. The next one, Kanika, can we have the solution wherein they have better grip? Okay, their grip, does not, their fingers don't slip while writing, and there's also some sort of comfort while you're writing. What have we done? We've drawn inspiration from a completely uncommon object. This is also something that you can do. Find the common in the uncommon, and next you can start connecting the dots between these two things. So the first breakthrough approach is challenging the obvious. The second breakthrough approach is connecting the dots. This brings us to the last part of today's session, which is what should I do? Okay, we've understood why should I have an idea, how should I do it, challenge the obvious, learn to think differently. Remember, we're not creating something brand new, but we are learning to see the same everyday things differently, right? We saw the mixer, we saw the switchboard. These are things we see every day, but we're only learning how to challenge the obvious and find the common into uncommon things, connect the dot and innovate. So now we're moving on to the last segment, which is what should I do when I'm coming up with an idea? So let's have a look at that. We have already cleared this doubt. Is idea the starting point? A quick yes or no. Is idea the starting point?
No, ma'am.
What is the starting point then?
The problem?
Absolutely.
Identifying.
The problem is the starting point. Brilliant. So now I know all of you are awake. So let's focus on this more. Let's focus on identifying the problem more. What should I do? This segment is mainly going to cover the importance of identifying the problem and how we're going to do this. Okay, next slide. On this slide, I have a picture here for you. Okay, you have to help me solve this problem. Firstly, do you see a problem in the picture?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the problem?
Yes.
The shortest person in the group is not able to view the match.
Okay. How would you solve the problem?
By
The
keeping
tallest person
another
would
two
give this
blocks,
bench, yeah, to the last person. The first
the
person, the
smallest person
tallest
can.
person would give his bench to
Yeah.
the shortest person, so it could be
Yeah.
compensated.
Okay, awesome. So that's one thing we can do. The shortest person cannot see, and so we'll give him the extra box from the tall person and we'll get him to see. Brilliant. This is the first solution. But do you think the problem is really solved? Remember, one very important thing in identifying the problem is empathy. Remember, I spoke about it, empathizing with the user. So I want you to put yourself in the place of these three audiences that are watching the match. Try to put yourself in their shoes and try to tell me what is the real problem in this picture.
The real problem is it's the board, which has to be short.
Okay, maybe shortening the board, or even better,
Yeah.
what else can we do?
Instead of board, we can have those the net based walls or something like that.
Absolutely. We can have like a mesh, right? Kanika, can we have that picture? So you were able to come up with the solution because you identified the problem correctly. First, we were trying to look at height as an issue, but can height be a problem? It can't be a problem because height is something that's genetically determined. Can we go change his genes? We can't do that, right? So height is not really the real problem. The real problem is the fence, which we can't see through. But the moment we solve the right problem, we always will come down to the right solution. So identifying the real problem, the right problem is very, very important. Next. This is something that Albert Einstein said. He said he had an hour to solve a problem, he would spend 55 minutes only thinking about the problem and 5 minutes thinking about the solution. That's how important it is to fully understand the problem. Okay. And this is just a reminder of the process of idea building. It does not start with an idea, it starts with the problem. Then you empathize with your users. Did you see the moment you started empathizing with the user, how quickly you came to your solution? Because it gives you certain insights when you empathize. Okay. Let's look at the next slide. These are just some examples I have of you, have for you, where people have empathized with the users and then they have changed their products or innovated their product so that the product can become more user centric. This is a picture of a mouse and how it has changed over time because they realized, it's not so convenient, it's not so comfortable to use. And this is the journey of how a mouse has evolved over time. Next. This is another beautiful example of an MRI machine. So the MRI machines, everyone, I don't think anybody looks forward to going through an MRI machine, especially children, right? Because it's an experience that's extremely fearful. They don't know what to expect. Plus they're unwell. And so there is so much of fear. Plus these machines make a loud sound. And so what a lot of researchers and designers did is, and they gathered these children and they asked them, what is something that you would like? Okay. Can we have the next slide? Yeah. They took the child's point of view and tried to understand what would they like these MRI machines to look like. And so after children drew what they would like, MRI machines were designed this way for children in certain places because they wanted to create something that children love. Because ultimately, that was a product where the kids were the users, right? And so by designing this machine in this way, which looks beautiful, right? Doesn't it? They created a space where children felt like they were not going through a machine, but it was a play zone or a little adventure for them. And so they looked forward to it. So the function of the MRI machine stayed the same, everything stayed the same, but the fear factor was removed. Next, we look at dusters. Dusters are something that teachers use, but how it has changed over time because the needs and requirements of the teachers changed over time. Plus, they realized that, okay, the traditional duster didn't have great grip. Plus, it was generating a lot of dust. And so they created ones with better grip, with something that wouldn't generate as much dust. They moved on to dusters for whiteboards that could solve the issue of dust allergies or chalk related allergies. Dusters that would now have segments even for markers. And this is just basically how dusters became more user centric because the needs of the users were identified slowly with time. Okay, next. Yeah, all of these examples are just to tell you that the user is very important. One, the first step is to identify the problem. Secondly, is to modify your product in a manner that is has benefits for your user. Our ability to think of creative solutions is the second step. Our ability to identify which problem to solve is the first step. Okay, that's something that's very important for you to remember. Let's look at this picture very quickly. Now, what do you see in the picture? Like if you could tell me very quickly, what do you see in this picture?
The person is trying to hang the clothes in the top.
Okay, what else? What else can you see? Somebody's trying to hang clothes, okay? Anyone else can see anything?
The short person close.
Okay, it's the short person who's struggling to hang the clothes. Okay, what else? What else? Anyone else sees anything else?
The second thing is if it's kept down, it would occupy more place. But if it's at the top, I think the down part can also be utilized for storing.
Okay, what else can you see in the picture about the area, about anything else?
I guess it's a shop.
Sorry?
I guess it's a shop.
Okay, maybe it's a shop, maybe
It's a slum area.
okay, it looks like a slum area, right? Because you see that there's some construction work. This is just somewhere on the road, okay? Now, we've had so many opinions about what's happening in the picture. But has anybody actually asked the boy what is happening in the picture? I don't even know if it's a boy or a girl. Has anybody asked the person what is actually happening in the picture? No, right? Based on what we're seeing, we're making certain assumptions, correct? And sometimes in our journey of solving a problem, these can become three blocks or bottlenecks, which is our knowledge, our experience, and our perception. Knowledge, experience, and perception is great, but sometimes if we only rely on this and we do not take the user's feedback into account, it can actually become a block in problem solving. Who knows, he's just trying to shoo away some crows, for example, or he's just trying to mess around and fool around and maybe throw the clothes off. We don't know what he's doing, right? But our knowledge, experience, and perception, if when it is not accompanied by feedback from the user, it can become a block in our journey of identifying a problem. Okay, moving on. Let's look at problem statements or how to come up with problem statements. First, I'll present some sentences on the screen. You have to tell me, are these problem statements? There is no clean water to drink, for example, or people lack discipline and put garbage on the street. Are these problem statements? Yes?
I guess yes.
Okay, how many of you say yes? Okay, but let me take the first one. There is no clean water to drink. I have no idea who doesn't have clean water to drink. Where are they facing this problem? What is the real issue? I have no clue, right? So does that make it a problem statement? No, it just makes it a complaint, correct? That there is no clean water to drink. But who doesn't have clean water to drink? In which area, in which region, what is the cause? you know um, we don't know that, so none of these are actually problem statements. But let's look at how to come up with problem statements. Next, do you understand why they are not problem statements? Because they're not giving me any
Yes.
information about what is the root cause of the problem or who is facing the problem. It's just a complaint. I don't know anything more about it, right? So let's look at how to come up with a problem statement and how to come up with the root cause of the problem. You can only create a problem statement if you know the root cause of the problem, okay? And you can understand the root cause of the problem using this technique called 5 whys. Okay, everybody knows what's a why, right? We love asking questions. And so we just have to ask why to each statement 5 times or to a complaint 5 times to come to the root cause of that problem. So are we ready to practice this? Yeah, we'll quickly practice this. Next, we'll practice this on the same statements. Okay. Let's go with the first one, which is there is no clean water to drink. I'm going to ask you why. Why is there no clean water to drink? You can give me any solution that you think.
Because the industrial waste are being mixed with the normal water or with the rivers and all.
Okay, awesome. Why? Why is this industrial waste being, kind of flushed out into like water bodies and into like drinking water, like anywhere that we draw drinking water from? Why?
It's because the industries they have no proper place to
Okay.
they don't have the proper knowledge to
Okay.
dispose the water properly.
Okay, why? Why do they not have, the knowledge or the space to do it?
I think it's because of the society, the societal knowledge of
Okay, so lack
I
of
think the industries
awareness.
would have been set up in a place where it is a congested kind of stuff where you really don't have place to dispose things of.
Okay, that can be another thing. It can, so we can say that, okay, it's being pumped out into, water bodies. Why? It's because it's in a congested area and so there's no space. No, sorry. Why is it being pumped into water bodies? They don't have any other mechanism of pumping it out. Why do they not have another mechanism of pumping it out? It's in a, closed space or a crowded space and there's no additional room or facility for that. Why? We can again kind of dig deeper and say the reason they have not created additional space within that even crowded region is because they don't see the importance of kind of getting rid of this industrial waste, or there is lack of awareness. And if we keep
Also,
asking
there would be a reason where they have to spend much on transportation of these waste materials to outer places.
Correct. Okay. Now, if you see, if we look at that, like, if we look at the resources and financial angle, we will get to another root cause of the problem. Okay. Which is absolutely okay. But if you notice what started off with, there is no clean water to drink, we have reached to a point where industries lack the facility to, kind of manage their waste, or that there is lack of awareness, or that it is a problem with resources. Correct? Right? Yes, no?
yes, ma'am.
And so this is what we're doing now by asking why is we're coming to the root cause of the problem. So your problem statements would look, see, and it's fine to have multiple, multiple perspectives to the same problem, multiple solutions to the same problem. That's absolutely okay. Now, after you have brainstormed and had these three, you can actually visit the industry to understand from them themselves, what is the issue, why is their waste being disposed into water bodies. But let's go with what is said. Then your problem statement would be to create awareness about industrial waste segregation, if that's the root cause, or to kind of provide alternate solutions to an issue of space and waste management, or something to do with looking for certain cheaper options, or how do I provide kind of educate them about resources, or how where can they get their resources from for all of this. That becomes your problem statement. Does that make sense? Yes.
Yes,
Because you cannot have a problem statement without knowing what is the real problem, right? After you've identified the real problem by asking 5 whys is when you can come up with your root cause. And so there are 3 pillars of defining a problem. You need to be able to ask, who are my users? What is their needs, or what is the problem I'm solving for them? And why am I doing this? Why am I bringing about this solution? These are 3 important things that you need to know. Next. Other questions for you to ask, which you will also see on the next slide. I will show you. It's the same thing. It's a problem sheet. Okay, a problem fact sheet. You can create the sheet where all these questions are asked, and so in one place you have all your pointers. Kanika, can we have the next slide? I'll show them the problem sheet. Yeah, next. Yeah. Okay. If you just have something like this where you draw, you take a screenshot, in one place itself, you will have all your details, which is who's facing the problem, who needs a solution. Okay. What needs to be addressed? What are their needs? What is the real problem that you're addressing? What are they currently using? What are they currently doing, or what is the current solution that they have? Okay. What are the limitations of that current solution? And why do they need your solution, or why do they need a solution, and your insights. Okay, does that make sense? So you're already in one place, you have who is my user, what are their needs, what is the current solution, what is the current product or service that you're using, what are the limitations of that product. Okay, why do they need a solution, and finally your insights of, okay, so I'm going to design something, or this, I'm going to solve a problem of da 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 da. Okay, does that make sense? Yes.
Yes.
Yes, no. Girls?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
In
And
fact, Lisha, I think they can just take a screenshot of this
yes,
problem fact sheet, and this can be used when they are working on their own problem statement.
absolutely. That is something that you can definitely do, girls. Okay. And it's very important for you to identify your users, because you need to understand who are your target audience, your clients that you're specifically targeting. You need to understand what is their social profile, their backgrounds, their gender, their age, their preferences, in order that your solution, you can tweak it along according to their needs. Okay, next. This, we're going to end with this one practical problem. Okay, we will, everything that we learned, right, about asking what, why, by kind of identifying the root cause of the problem, we're going to do this with this picture. What is the issue here that you see on the screen?
The dustbin has overflowed with garbage.
Correct. Who is it causing a problem for?
People,
Who? People, of course, but
society,
who? You have to define that. You'll have to define exactly which groups of people.
the one who is not illiterate about the cleanliness of the society.
Okay. Who else?
It is also about the officials who have not collected those garbages on time, where it is overflowed with garbages. Maybe.
Absolutely. The municipality or the government or officials that are responsible for waste management in the city. Who else? People passing by, causing an
Yes, ma'am.
inconvenience for them, or residents, right? Like you said, who don't have knowledge about waste management or waste segregation. So if we just look at this one problem, we could be solving so many people's needs, but there can be multiple causes for this problem. One, it could be, can we have the next slide? It could be the residents, okay, that they don't know how to segregate wet and dry garbage, and so they're putting it all together in the garbage bin. As a result, it's all overflowing because they don't have knowledge about this. Okay, that could be one issue. And the solution for this is that they need to be trained on waste segregation. We need to create separate we need to create a mechanism to separate this garbage or to educate them. Okay, let's look at another solution for the same problem. Maybe it's the garbage collection van and the officials that don't show up on time. They show up after 3 days or 4 days. As a result, the garbage bins are overflowing. So maybe we could have a tracking system, that could send in a message to garbage collectors when the bin is actually full. Okay, that is something we could do. Or let's look at another solution. Maybe the municipality is actually coming in on time, but the garbage bins only are not adequate, and so even though they regularly show up, the bin size is not adequate. So maybe we can change the size, or we can create a mechanism for it, or have them at closer distances, right? So whose problem are we solving? So many people's problem. It could be the residents, It could be the municipal authorities, it could be garbage segregators, garbage collectors, even the traffic police if they're in and around that area, and travelers. So for one problem, there could be multiple solutions. We just have to identify the root cause of that solution. Next. This is something that I'm going to give you as homework. You can take a screenshot of the screen. Remember, we discussed one problem, but I have taught you how to come up with the root cause and to write down problem statements. So can you do the same for a few of the others, at least one or two of the other statements, wherein you ask 5 whys and come to the root cause of the problem? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Someone had a question? Okay. If not, I'm going to move on to the next slide. I'm just going to quickly sum up what we've done. Okay. Understand that identifying the problem is the most important thing in your entrepreneurial journey. Okay. So with this, I'm going to end today's session because I want you to go back. I want you to spend time with your own problem and your own ideas. Understand what problem we are solving. Okay. Understand whether it's a real problem. You need to understand how critical the problem is. You'll see that on the screen, how critical the problem is, how widespread the problem is, and how long will people use your product for. It shouldn't be a short-lived thing, right? We want to have long-term benefit that we provide our users. So go back, identify your problem, revisit your ideas, come to the root cause of the problem, understand how important is this problem. If it's not, then identify something, by empathizing with your current user group that uses the solution that you're trying to offer. How can you improve this product to give them more benefits? Okay, so these are 3 filters that I'd like you to undertake before you solve the problem. And with that, I'm going to end today's session. Okay, I'm giving you time to identify the problem, and we're going to meet again on Friday, where we're going to discuss how will I come up with an idea and what will I finally do. Any questions that you have? Any questions, any doubts, any clarifications? Feel free to ask me.
Ma'am, I just have a doubt. Is there any group that we need to be added for this entrepreneurial EnPower session?
Nikita, is there any group?
Hi, Nikita, are you there?
What we'll do is we'll try and get in touch with you. I'm sure they all have your IDs, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, or they don't have your IDs?
I think if you have any questions, do you have the email addresses? You can just drop in a mail if you have any queries. And I guess the entrepreneurial team will get back to you on this.
Yes.
Hello,
Okay,
can
okay.
you hear me? Can you hear me? I'm so
Yeah,
sorry.
I can hear you.
Yeah, Nikita, they were just asking if they can be added to a group or something.
Not really, not no group, but
All right.
I can share my email ID. All right. So
Okay.
whatever the details you all have, you all can connect me on that email ID, and whatever queries you all have, we can help you out with that. But there's no group as such.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
So I'll just share my email ID with all of you all. Just a second.
Yeah, I guess that way they'll be able to, ask their questions and we'll be able to address their concerns in a better way.
Any other doubts that you'll have, girls?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I think Nikita is just sharing her ID.
Yeah. So that is my ID. And if you all have any concerns, any questions, please drop it in here and I will help you all out. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
girls.
Thank you for sharing this,
We're
Nikita.
looking forward.
If anybody has any questions, you can please just send your concerns to Nikita's email address, and we'll just get back to you.
Thank you, Risha. Thank you, Kanika.
Thank you so much. Thank you,
you.
girls.
Thank you.
Hoping to see you on
Thank you.
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
Thank
I
you, everybody.
have shared the link for Friday session, so you guys can join.
Surely.
Okay, bye.
Good. Yeah,
Thank
have
you.
a good
Thank you, everybody.
evening.
Thanks,
Bye,
Alicia.
everyone.
Bye.
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 Thank you, ma'am.